The Dearborn Independent, September 17, 1921, number 47. Mr. Ford's page. Not all cases of swelled head are bumptious and offensive. Many men contract dangerous disease without knowing it. It is very agreeable to its victim. It soothes and satisfies him. It has numerous subtle forms which should be learned and rigidly avoided. Some people get swelled head by winning promotion. They think the promotion is a decoration pinned on instead of a challenge to carry heavier burdens and fulfill more exacting demands. You don't measure success on arrival, but on leaving. Arrival is only opportunity. It is not achievement. People with swelled head think it is achievement, and in the end, the delusion destroys them. A sense of proportion cannot be preserved by comparing yourself with yourself. There is a disease known as swelled head, which may be contracted in any line of activity, but which is particularly dangerous in business. Because of the inelegance of its name and the commonness of its occurrence among light and giddy youth, it is regarded as not a dangerous disease, but something light, like the ailments of childhood. We know, however, how serious the ailments of childhood can be when they attack grown persons. If we were to be very strict about words, we should perhaps say that the term swelled head was hardly descriptive. If the head of the patient actually should enlarge and his brain power increase, the disease would not exist. It is the feeling of enlargement in heads that have not enlarged nor expanded at all that constitutes the abnormal condition. That is to say, the condition described as swelled head is a delusion. The patient thinks he has expanded when he has not. The only element in him that has increased is his self-esteem. And when that increases out of proportion to everything else, there comes an unbalanced condition which is just as dangerous to his affairs as insanity is to society. This ailment is not confined to men in small and unimportant positions, although it is found there too, but it is frequently found among men whom the world thinks to be big men because they wear big titles and deal in big things. There would seem to be little reason for much swelled-headedness among the big men of today, for it is precisely in their fields that all the big failures and all the big humiliations have come. There is, of course, such a thing as a sense of self-satisfaction in one's work, a sense of being able to do the thing required, a sense of mastery, and a plain knowledge of having accomplished something when a good job has been done. These are the wholesome flavors and reactions of honest work. They are not to be confused with the disease of swelled head. The difference between them is this: the former has the work for its center, the latter has one's self for its center. And self-centered persons, not necessarily selfish persons, are in great danger of letting themselves get in the way of their work. They are in great danger of the delusion that their work exists for their glory. The sign of a little man is so various that it is next to impossible for an ordinarily observant person to mistake him. He never forgets himself. He is afraid to surround himself with bigger men than himself, with men who know more, or who can give him help. Thus the little man is a fool. If he knew where his interests lay, he would surround himself with the biggest and best men, and by his just treatment of them, retain their services. But the little man lives in daily dread that somebody will show up more meritoriously than he, and he strives to keep a false preeminence by seeing to it that, little as he himself may be, those who surround him are smaller still. This is often true because the little man is usually himself a subordinate who fears displacement. But even a subordinate who can surround himself with superior and efficient assistants is not in nearly so much danger of displacement as one who deliberately hammers down the standard of his organization. The disease of swelled head has its preliminary symptom in short-sightedness. No one who can see very far ahead or very far around is ever troubled with it. The world is so big and there is so much to be done that a man can contract swelled head only by comparing himself with himself. Is not that the trouble? The process is usually something like this. A man goes to work earnestly and intelligently, and as a consequence, his work attracts attention. Any man who works this way is bound to make an impression. In course of time, this man is advanced, and the recognition thus accorded has the effect of making him still more earnest and intelligent, and therefore more useful and desirable. So another advancement inevitably comes, and perhaps another, and another. Then one day the man stops to consider what has befallen him, and the idea creeps into his mind that he must be quite a fellow. Look what he was then, and look what he is now. Comparing himself with himself, you see. It is the first whisper of the tempting serpent. The man receives his last advancement, and usually it is his last, with the feeling that at length he has arrived. He has ceased to regard every new step as a new challenge to his ability. He has come to regard it as a decoration pinned on him for what he has done sometime in the past. As a result, he sits down to enjoy his new place and his new title, and his degeneration begins right there. He has caught swelled head, and the treatment needed to cure that is often very drastic and severe. Where did the disease begin? In the man's thought that advancements are decorations instead of new challenges. Nobody has arrived until he has filled his post and is leaving it. Only then can a judgment be rendered on his work. Can you imagine a newly elected President of the United States entering the White House with a smug smile and saying to himself, "Well, at last I have attained success. I have arrived. I have become president." Can you imagine that? Oh no, for just at that moment there would come thundering through the corridors of his soul the cutting challenge. What kind of a president? That is a question to be answered after 4 or 8 years of service. The president does not arrive until he leaves. It is then his record is made. It is then his measure is recorded on history's page. The exalted position is sometimes only a loftier stage upon which to enact a tragedy of failure. It is true everywhere. If you are promoted, it is only another burden, another demand laid on you with the questions, can you carry that? Can you fulfill that? The reward for good work done is always more work, not decorations, nor titles, nor soft snaps. These are the snares which have wrecked many a career. It is better to remain a good bookkeeper and to be known as such than to be promoted because you are a good bookkeeper, and then think that you can dispense with the qualities that made you a good bookkeeper. Unless you take those qualities with you, enlarged and intensified, you are only ascending the scale to a more spectacular failure. Promotion that is not regarded as a challenge to greater and better performance may easily become a snare. We want to write the word success too soon. It should be kept for the epitaph. Any man who thinks he is a success has come to his terminal. He is about ready to get off. He is running under the momentum of past steam. He is coming down with a form of swelled head. One fact about this disease should be noted. It does not always take an offensive form. It does not always show itself in bumptiousness. A man may be a victim of it and yet never suspect it. When a man settles back as if he had done all he ought to do, when he begins to have the deliciously drowsy feeling that, after all, he has done pretty well, it is time to be on guard. The disease is not unpleasant to the victim, and therein lies its danger. He should distrust such thoughts and go on a hunt for something hard and difficult and impossible to do, something that will bring back a normal sense of proportion.